I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography without question, without exception.
When you think about a serial killer, what comes to your mind? Definitely a man with a very terrifying face, and with a very strange face that seems very different, right? Be ready, my friend, because this video will literally change your beliefs. You're going to see a person who smiles, who holds the door open for you but hiding a dark, deadly secret. This is the real story of the Ted Bundy, one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Was known for his charm and good looks, but he didn't just kill. He tortured and degraded his victims and killed over 30 women brutally.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, he's gonna get me next,
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, I get very scared. I shut my door and lock him,
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. You try to imagine yourself in his place and to see how he's feeling, looking at the pillows with blood stains and everything. If he really...
It might be a disturbing video for many of you guys, because we are going to show you the real face of the world, because maybe one of your coolest friend will be the next Ted Bundy, and by the end of the video you will get a complete insight of it and understand everything very clearly. So, let's begin. Ted Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. His early life was full of secrets and lies. Raised by his grandparents, Bundy believed his mother was his sister. Rumors said his grandfather was his father, darkening his childhood. This twisted family set the stage for a disturbed mind. By age 3, Bundy showed signs of his dark side. One chilling incident was when he placed kitchen knives around his aunt while she slept and stood by her bed with a creepy smile until she woke up. Bundy's childhood was a catalog of horrors. He delighted in torturing animals, hanging cats from rope, and setting them on fire. By the time he was a teenager, his ruthless tendencies had fully emerged. He would lead younger kids into the woods, strip them naked, and sexually abuse them. The screams of these children could be heard echoing through the woods, a haunting prelude to the terror he would later unleash on countless women. As Bundy grew older, he learned to hide his darkness behind charm and intelligence. He went to the University of Washington and studied psychology, but behind the image of a good student was a man obsessed with power and control. He didn't want friends. He wanted to manipulate and dominate. Bundy's charm was a mask, a trap for the unsuspecting. Bundy's first known attack was on Karen Sparks, an 18-year-old student at the University of Washington. He broke into her apartment, hit her with a metal rod, and sexually tortured her. Karen survived, but the attack left her with permanent brain damage. This was just the beginning. Bundy's spree of violence stretched across multiple states, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken bodies. Bundy's trial was a media spectacle. He was the first serial killer to have his trial broadcast live on national television. The public was fascinated by his charm, his wit, and his audacity to defend himself in court. But this media frenzy masked the gruesome reality of his crimes. Bundy wasn't a misunderstood genius. He was a ruthless killer who reveled in the pain of his victims. Bundy's crimes were not just about killing. They were about control, torture, and degradation. He would often return to the bodies of his victims to perform unspeakable acts. His depravity knew no bounds. One of his victims, a young woman named Nancy Wilcox, was abducted, held captive for 24 hours, and brutally murdered. Her body was never found. Bundy's ability to evade capture for so long showed his cunning and the flaws in the law enforcement system at the time. But what coming next will literally blow your mind. But before, most of you guys didn't subscribe to the channel. Please do it, or else maybe you will find the another Bundy in your life. Now, what if I told you that while Bundy was on trial for his horrific crimes, he had a fan club? Yes, women from across the country wrote letters of admiration, even attending his court sessions to catch a glimpse of the man who had caused so much pain. This disturbing phenomenon wasn't just about Bundy. It was a reflection of society's twisted fascination with killers. The media played a significant role in this. By focusing on Bundy's charm and intelligence, they created a monster who was both feared and admired. How could women, knowing what he did, still be drawn to him? This question reveals a darker side of human nature and the dangerous power of charisma. Bundy's background in psychology gave him tools to manipulate and deceive. He studied people, learning how to present himself as trustworthy and charming. This manipulation wasn't just for his victims. He used it on everyone around him. During his trials, Bundy often appeared calm and composed, a stark contrast to the gruesome details of his crimes. His ability to switch between a charming persona and a violent predator is what makes his story so terrifying. It's a chilling reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. Bundy's necrophilia is one of the most disturbing aspects of his crimes. After killing his victims, he would return to their bodies, sometimes days later, to perform sexual acts. This level of depravity is hard to comprehend. It shows a complete lack of empathy and a deep-seated desire to control and degrade even in death. For Bundy, the act of killing wasn't enough. He needed to dominate his victims completely, turning their bodies into objects for his pleasure. Bundy's cunning allowed him to escape custody twice. Each time, he continued his spree of violence. His first escape was from a courthouse in Colorado, where he jumped from a second-story window. He was recaptured, but not before terrorizing the area. His second escape was even more audacious. He sawed a hole in the ceiling of his jail cell and walked out. During this time, he committed some of his most heinous crimes, including the brutal attack on the Chi Omega sorority at Florida State University. Bundy's ability to evade capture not only shows his cunning, but also highlights the flaws in the justice system that allowed him to continue his reign of terror. Bundy's trial was the first to be nationally televised, turning it into a media circus. Reporters from around the world covered the case, fascinated by Bundy's charm and intelligence. But this focus on his personality distracted from the true horror of his crimes. Bundy wasn't a misunderstood genius. He was a sadistic killer. The media's obsession with his charm helped create a myth around Bundy, making it harder for people to see him for what he truly was. Bundy's story isn't just about a man who killed, it's about how society responded. The media's portrayal of Bundy as a charming, intelligent figure overshadowed the brutality of his actions. This has had a lasting impact, contributing to the mythologizing of serial killers. Bundy became a pop culture icon, a twisted symbol of the unassuming killer. But behind this myth was a monster who showed us that no woman is truly safe, that the face of evil could be anyone. Ted Bundy's story is not just about his crimes. It's about the dangerous power of charm and how society can be blinded by it. Bundy's legacy is a dark reminder that we must be vigilant, that we must look beyond the surface to see the true nature of those around us. His story is a call to action, a plea to never forget the victims, and to always be aware that monsters can hide in plain sight. In the end, Bundy wasn't just a killer. He was a reflection of our own blind spots, our own willingness to be deceived by a friendly face. His story is a lesson in the dangers of underestimating evil, a reminder that we must always be on guard. Because as long as we allow ourselves to be charmed by the surface, no woman is safe in America. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for